too loud. Okay, are you ready?
I think so, yeah. I've done quite a lot of stretches. I did a 10-mile run earlier. I say earlier, I spread that out over my entire life.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough.
It's been a long sequence of 5-second runs.
So I feel like this next hour is going to be more like a marathon for you then.
Well, they call them Snickers now, but yeah.
Oh, yay! See, I'm not cutting any of this out. This is all going to go in.
This is all good quality stuff.
This is top class stuff.
Yeah, and it's relevant too.
I just hope you haven't peaked too soon.
Yeah, years ago. I was more ready. I'm more settled now. I feel relaxed.
Right. I need you just on that edge. That's what I need. You just on that edge. So I'll make sure you get back on that edge. Just don't worry.
Okay. I had quite a lot of Pepsi Max, so we should be okay for several days.
That's good then. Are we ready? I'm not going to ask you that again. Here we go.
I'm more ready the more stairs I go up.
Okay.
And then sometimes purpley.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, right. I can't see now. My glasses have steamed up. Okay, it is.
Atmospheric conditions are horrific in these filming studios, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, in a top-class studio like I've got, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not talking about, YouTube money like you've got. I'm talking about just my shed in my house,
Yeah, my crazy YouTube money,
yeah. Okay, here we go then. See, I'm apprehensive to start now.
You should be. I always am.
But you've spoken to Keanu Reeves and people like that. So, I mean,
yeah.
Although you're my Keanu Reeves.
That makes sense. Yeah. I'm a time-traveling person that can fight in slow motion.
And we're talking levels here, you see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can every 10 minutes or say a word like deliverance, expectations. That's the entire John Wick 4 script.
Indeed. And killing a dog. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. We have celebrated pretty much everything the 80s had to offer, but this episode, it's 80s TV. From corny soaps to US action, shoulder pads and espadrilles, cheap quiz shows to classic comedy. The 80s had it all. But first, here are the most watched UK TV shows of the 80s. At number 10, it was Bread's December 1988 with 20.95 million.
What's his name again? Raphael.
At number 9, the January 1985 edition of Coronation Street, 21.4 million.
I'll go round there and give him a flaming good addy, more like.
At number 8, it was To the Manor Born, November 1980, 21.55 million people tuned in.
You must learn not to confuse money with breeding.
At number 7, in November 1980, 21.6 million people tuned in to see Who Shot JR in Dallas.
I have finally figured everything out, that's all.
At number 6, it was EastEnders, January 1988, 24.1 million, where Angie Watts was an alcoholic.
Kath, I'm not an alcoholic.
Yes, you are, Angie. At number 5, it was Live Aid, July 1985, 24.5 million.
It's 12 noon in London, 7 a.m. in Philadelphia, and around the world, it's time for Live Aid.
At number 4, it was Coronation Street again, December 1987, Hilda Ogden Leaves the Street, 26.6 million people tuned in.
Oh, I don't know what to say. I mean, I never expected any of this.
At number 3, it was Den and Angie's Divorce in January 1987. 28 million people watched that EastEnders episode.
Happy Christmas, eh?
At number 2, 1981 in July, 28.4 million people tuned in to Charles and Di's Wedding.
Once Upon a Time is the 29th of July, 1981, and what you will see now is no fairy story.
And the number 1 biggest show of the 80s, one episode at least, it was 30.1 million people tuned in to see Den and Angie's Divorce on December 1986. That was EastEnders.
That has got to be the sickest joke that you've ever played.
There you go. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Look at that. It was almost like I'm a professional. The song finished at the same time as well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 80s TV show episode. And joining us this week, as you'll probably already have heard, because I'm going to keep most of this in, it's internet sensation phenomenon, actress, comedian, star amazingly of the Sarah O'Connell show. Amazingly, her name is Sarah O'Connell. Yay! Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction. And I must say, I don't know how you did those impressions without moving your lips, but I was very impressed.
Thank you very much. If I can impress one person per episode, I feel like my job is done and I've earned my money. How are you? I know we've already gone through this rigmarole before, but I've got to say it again for the the guests. And
it changes on a regular basis. I'm glad you're keeping up with that.
I'm going to ask you every 10 minutes just to make sure you're okay. Yeah. So how are you in this 10-minute section?
For the rest of the year.
Yeah. I will message you 10 minutes. How are you?
Yeah. And then 200 askings in, I'll be like, I'm fine. I haven't slept. I know, I'm really good. Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. Ridiculously, that top 10 list of things is my exact top 10. I've got EastEnders in there 4 times. I think I've made a massive mistake with my list.
Have you? Well, this is the question. Now, I'm of a certain vintage where the 80s are my decade. Yeah. So I was very, very surprised when we were trying to work out what subject we were going to do that you chose the 80s because you're a young pup.
I'm so young.
You are so young. So
I take my surgeons, it's incredible.
Why the 80s?
Well, I was born in 1980, so I thought that was a really good time to pick.
Yeah, but I know, but you're not watching TV, in the early 80s, and you're probably only watching children's TV in the late 80s.
No.
You weren't, so you were watching EastEnders and Dallas and things like that.
You will find that I watch things I really shouldn't have watched yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. That's good. Because I really, when I was going through my top 10, and I thought these are shows that were massive for me in my teens and stuff like that. So I am fascinated in regards. Is 80s like your decade, like for 80s music and things like that? Is that what you love more than anything else? Or
yeah, it's really good. Like 80s movies, TV shows, everything. So I'd say the best time to be alive is now, only because we have all of the 80s content, all of the 90s, some weird films at the end of the 90s there. We had that one year that had Speed 2, Cruise Control, The Avengers are not the good one, and Godzilla and all that stuff happened very, not wickedly Wild Wild West, not so good at the end of the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 20 didn't start off too great either. But now we have access to all of that stuff, but still so far for me at least, and I might be biased because I was born there, but I think the 80s were very, very good.
That's nice to hear. That's nice to hear. As somebody that finds that the 80s for me is the decade to look back on and think there was so much stuff going on in the 80s, whether it's fashion, which I had nothing to do with. I was
just running around naked.
No, I wasn't running around naked. I was just running around very uncool, whereas all my friends obviously were very cool. Even my dad was very cool. I was just never very cool as a youngster.
I think if you're trying to be cool, it's not that cool.
I know, but
it's cooler not to be cool.
I know you're looking at it now thinking you can't believe that I was never anything but cool. I mean, obviously with the way that I look, but exactly. Right, before we do get into our top 10, I need to ask you about the Sarah Connell show. Now, how did that start? And how do you manage to get all these amazing, amazing guests?
I just got a lot of dirt on them.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I used to work in a gardening centre. No. So I've always loved entertainment and comedy.
I'll give you a ding for that. That was very good.
Thank you very much. I've always loved entertainment and movies and comedy and all that good stuff. And I studied media studies and film and art at college, and I've got a degree in animation. I just love it. And so I've always enjoyed interviewing people, and it was kind of my dream to not just do written ones where you record it and then you have to, dictate all the words back, and it's a very tedious process and you kind of lose the energy of the interview, I think, doing that. So I had it in my mind for a good while to set up a YouTube channel. And so, in 2016, I asked one of my friends, comedian Catherine Ryan, if she'd like to come on the first episode. As it happened, that night she was filming her Netflix special and invited me along to it. I interviewed her backstage, and that was the first episode of the Sarah Connell show. And then, I invited comic book artists and more comedians and actors and directors. And then several episodes later, I invited Tom Cruise on my show, and he came on. And so that's kind of what happened. So
you're basically, you can just name drop anybody now.
Yeah, I can just make stuff up.
As personal friends.
Anyone. Yeah.
So who has been your favourite person that you've interviewed?
Okay. So I'll never say who my favourites are.
Okay.
I won't do that. I will say that there are some people that have been on my show multiple times. So Catherine Ryan's been on my show 5 times. Joe Lycett has. Darren Hayes is super popular. I interviewed him for about 3 hours. Australian sensation pop star Darren Hayes, and I posted this interview and people are just literally messaging me every day, when am I going to get Darren Hayes back? So I did it again, interviewed him a second time, and people are still doing it to me. So that's good. I love him. I've probably interviewed over 300 people at this point, and there's so many interviews I loved, because my show, just to explain for anyone unfamiliar with it, which I guess is most people, it's a chat show just celebrating stuff that I love. So if there's a movie I grew up watching, or I inexplicably am watching a TV show at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, that was really good, I'd love to speak to the writers of that show, I'll try and reach out to them. So my show is basically a celebration of things that I enjoy. So, I've spoken to Don Hahn, who was the producer on The Lion King, and as someone with a degree in animation, that was like ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, lots of amazing people. I would genuinely struggle to do a top anything of my guests.
Right. So when you're in this kind of position where you're the person being asked the questions, do you find that uncomfortable, or do you find that easy because you know what it's like to be the other side of the mic, if you like?
So when I'm doing it, I'm worried a lot more, because I'm checking every 5 seconds, is it recording? I'm concentrating.
I did that literally just a second ago.
Yeah. You only have to not do it once and it traumatizes you forever.
Yeah.
But no, I'm fairly relaxed when I'm speaking to anyone. I just enjoy it. I look forward to chatting to people, whichever way I'm doing it. I'm just doing the same thing. A lot of my interviews end up with them asking me stuff anyway, just out of curiosity. They'll go, what did you think about this film, or whatever it is. So yeah.
And how much do you prepare when you're talking to somebody, whether it's a megastar or somebody that people may not necessarily know? Do you do lots and lots of research, or do you kind of just know the basic bits and then ask them questions so that you're learning at the same time as the person that's watching the interview?
I'm kind of lucky that I'm now in a position where I'm not just interviewing random people. I am picking people genuinely because I love their stuff. And a lot of the research I've just done over the last few decades, just because I enjoyed watching it. And it's just questions I naturally had when I was watching something. It could be a quirky detail about a scene or whatever it is. Clear my throat.
What a professional.
I know. Although I probably muted the entire interview but the cough, so apologies for the silence followed by a cough.
That's fine. It will be an hour of nothing and just a cough at around 15 minutes, so that's perfect.
Yeah, and then another one at the end with a F word at the beginning when you tell me to leave.
No, that's fine. Then, you don't have to say F word, you can say what you like.
F word.
That's how you swear, isn't it? You don't actually say the word, you just say F word.
F word yourself. Right up the nose.
Okay.
So to answer your question, I usually spend about a week. So it depends how much stuff the person's made. If they've got like a 3-decade body of work or something, I will genuinely try to watch as much of it as I can.
Oh, right. Okay.
Like I'll literally just do that. It just gives me an excuse. If I'm thinking, I'm going to watch some comedy movies this week, I'll interview that person. Then I just spend the week doing that. It's super productive. But yeah, no, I like spending a lot of time celebrating my guests and, knowing what I can about them.
And have you, I'm assuming with people like Tom Cruise and Keanu Reeves, do you get starstruck, or is it now just become, it's Keanu Reeves, that's fine, it's just part of the job?
I think I was more just excited. I wasn't expecting to speak to Keanu Reeves. I only had 5 minutes with him. But so how that one came about, when the new Matrix movie came out, they invited me to a screening of it, and they said that there was going to be an online press junkie thing, and we'd get 5 minutes with any one of 8 to 10 people. And amazingly, I got like Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu Reeves and Jada Pinkett Smith and Priyanka Chopra Jonas, and yeah, it's amazing.
It's one of my favourite ones, I must admit. It's just the fact that you can sit there and say that you've spoken to those kind of people, because they're people that mean so much to everybody else with their body of work that they've done.
Yeah, especially Keanu. I remember being in like a video store in the 1980s and just wondering what Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was. I probably walked past it 100 times, and I'd look at the cover because I could only get one film every week or whatever it was. And I rented it and I loved it, and then saw Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey and Point Break and all those movies that came out afterwards, Speed and Matrix and all that good stuff. Iconic. Well, we will put a link to the show in the show notes to your show. Not that you need our help, obviously, but we will put the link there, and please go and watch it. Is it just on YouTube? Have you got it anywhere else? Do you do a podcast at all, or have you not lowered yourself down to that? I should. It's not that. I'm so lazy. I've been thinking about doing that for a good while, actually. Putting it out as a podcast as well, so people can listen and not have to see my head.
It's a great idea. Not that you can't see your head. It's a great idea to have an audio version, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I do that sometimes myself. Like, the entire house isn't covered in mirrors. I just have them sporadically. It's like the rest of the walls are like a podcast version of my show.
I think you're already doing it. You just need to stick a microphone there, and you need to be like Prince and have a microphone in every room. So you've got the ability to record whenever you like. A day with Sarah O'Connell. That's what it could be.
Yeah, regrettably, I've only got one of those old-style dial-up phones. Otherwise, I'll be able to film things on my phone. Yeah,
that's no good.
Regrettable.
No good. But at least you know how to use it. Not like a lot of the kids these days. They wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know where to stick their finger in, would they?
No.
I'll ding that one. That one. Okay, your top 10. How hard or easy was it to compile your top 10?
It was a bit of a faff because I tried to remember everything I've ever watched.
Well, that could be challenging, yeah.
It's quite a bit of stuff. And so I've tried to balance it so that if there's several sitcoms or whatever sort of like each other, then I'll pick one of them.
Okay, fair enough.
Or different style of things. I've tried to do a good mix of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Sarah, hit us with your number 10.
Okay.
Before we do that, we've got to do this.
Pop quiz.
Oh, wrong one. Shit. That one.
Lisa's Challenge.
What the fuck are you saying?
She should have said, what the F word are you saying? So it's Lisa's Challenge. How many in the top 10 do you think we're going to have the same? How many duplicates do you think we're going to have?
I'm going to say 3.
Ooh, okay.
This is a spicy top 10.
See, I reckon... I'm going to go 4. I think we might have 4. So that's another little extra game that we can play, and we'll see who wins that at the end.
The question is really, how many have you got right?
Well, that is true. Although I've always said everybody's top 10 is right because it's...
For them, yeah. I actually agree with that, yeah.
Well, that's good. Whew, thank God for that. Okay, Sarah, hit us with your number 10.
Okay. I'm not going to hit you with it. I'll just say it.
Oh, just say it. Yeah, that's fine.
In your general direction.
I mean, words can hurt, but hopefully these won't.
They can, that's true. Especially if you stand on a frozen alpha bite that's fallen out of the freezer.
That's right, yeah. Or a can of alphabet spaghetti in your face. That's going to hurt.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just emotionally, mostly.
Yeah. Very good.
So it is, especially if you work in television, it's always really upsetting if you get canned, isn't it? So.
Oh, well done. Well done.
Thanks. I pre-planned that. I just hoped that you'd say all the other words leading up to it.
I mean, it's almost as if we rehearsed that, but we haven't. We are pretty much like, I mean, we're an amazing sort of double act here. This is crazy. This could be the birth of something new.
Yeah, I mean, I must say, just because there's going to be a lot of conspiracy theories about the ridiculous chemistry happening right now, we have not rehearsed this. There is not a script, but I have recorded my video in full ahead of time and sent it over, so you are just reacting to it.
Yes, I am. Sorry, there's a bit of a lag there.
That's okay.
But we work that in.
Which is really bad in Australia because it means that they've ratted you out in prison.
You get a ding and you get a round of applause for that. So well done, Sarah.
that might come in. That might be a spoiler for later. But
okay.
Exciting. Coming in hot at number, not really hot anymore, it's quite old. Coming in lukewarm at number 10 is the 1982 anarchic comedy, The Young Ones.
That is my number 3. So we've got one already.
Yeah.
Okay. Why for you?
The big reason for me was it was on your thumbnail, and okay, there it was. Big reason for me is it's kind of an odd reason, actually, in that I don't necessarily think it's the 10th best show that happened, but I think it's one of the most important. So it stars Adrian Edmondson and Rick Mell and Nigel Planner, who's been on my show, and Christopher Ryan and Alexi Sale. But it also launched the careers of not only those people, but, the French and Saunders were in it, and Helen Pace and Ben Elton was a co-writer, and Stephen Fry was in it. And for me, more importantly, if we were doing the 90s, one of my top 10 shows probably would have been Bottom, starring Rick Mell and Adrian Edmondson. And this is definitely the spiritual predecessor to that. And, if you watch it, if we're talking about 80s stuff, it's got really abstract puppetry sequences and carrots ice skating, if I remember that correctly. And there was a musical guest of the week that have Madness or Motorhead, something like that. And it's a really wild show. There's only 12 episodes of it, and there's lots of Cliff Richard references as well.
That's right, yeah.
But it's a great show just to pick up and watch, and it's got real British 80s style to it.
Completely agree. For me, it was the show to watch as a kid, that you would go to school the following day and recite moments of it.
Yeah.
The only time girls ever spoke to me at school was A, to find out if my dad was coming to the parents' evening, or B, to ask me to do my Rick impersonation. That was the only thing. I mean, I can't do it anymore. I've grown out of it. But
why?
Because I haven't the dexterity in my facial muscles now to do what you need to do to be Rick.
So it's a visual thing.
Oh, it's absolute, yeah, with the plates thing and all that. But I used to watch it 3 times before. Like, it used to be on a Monday night, I think at 9 o'clock. I'd watch it. We'd video record it. I'd rewind it, watch it again, get up early in the morning on the Tuesday, watch it again, so I had it all fresh in my mind, so you could go to school. Yeah. Did you watch The Young Ones? Yeah. Do you remember this bit? And then you'd go into like a whole scene of it, and then somebody else would go, oh, what about that bit? And it was the thing you talked about. It was so groundbreaking, because I think it was a lot like Monty Python. A lot of the mums and dads didn't like it because it was very anarchic, like you said, and very alternative. It wasn't your usual sitcom. It even took the piss out of sitcoms like that, like Terry and June and The Good Life and stuff like that. But I'm so happy that you've got that as one of your top 10. That makes me so happy.
And one thing I must say that fascinates me about that show is that there's 4 flatmates in the house, but there's also a 5th one. And even if you listen to recent interviews of anyone that happens to have noticed this person sometimes just facing the corner, just on their bed, whatever it is, they have no speaking lines, all the cast will just say they don't know who you're talking about, and they've kept that going for 41 years.
That's true. And also Vivian used to have his hamster called SPG as well. Special Patrol Group, yeah. Oh, such a good show. It does look dated when you watch it, as all these shows probably will, but it's still got that freshness, and Rick Mell and Adrian Edmondson, well, all of them just geniuses when it came to that kind of comedy.
Yeah, Rick Mell was amazing and everything.
Indeed. My number 10, I'm going for one of their classics, Magnum P.I.
Oh, wow.
With Tom Selleck. Tom Selleck was, I mean, it's amazing, in an alternative life, he would have been Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's very true.
If it hadn't have been for this show and the fact that he signed up for another series, went for an audition for Indiana Jones, you can even see we'll put on the video playlist for our Patreon subscribers. The audition for Indiana Jones is online. You can see him do it. And he had the part, but then he was contractually obliged to do the next series of Magnum. So unfortunately he had to do that. And of course, Harrison Ford stepped in, and the rest is history, as they say. But it was just great fun. They brought it back, didn't they? I think they brought it back over the last few years.
They did, quite recently, yeah.
Like most things, it didn't have the same kind of that 80s kitsch and the 80s just humour and oh God, what's his name? Who was it who plays Magnum?
Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck. It was just a good-looking guy and rocked an amazing moustache and still does in Blue Bloods, I think it is that he's in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a great show. Now, have you watched any of Magnum?
Of course, I genuinely watched pretty much everything that happened on television. I've seen all of it.
But it didn't quite make your top 10?
It's nowhere near it.
No, right. That's fair enough then. That's fair enough. Not a fan of Hawaiian shirts, I take it.
No, I am. I like them. Okay. I like Hawaii.
And what was it about Magnum that wouldn't make your top 10 then?
Because, as I referenced earlier, shows that are like other shows, I've tried to just pick one.
Right, fair enough.
Which one have I picked? Is there a better moustache coming up late than there isn't?
Okay, I was going to say, making me think then. You're making me think. Okay then, Sarah, you're number 9, please.
Okay, so right next door at number 9 is Neighbours, the Australian classic drama series.
Okay.
So in the 1980s, that was a huge thing for me and other people that watched it. And it launched the careers of Kylie Minogue and Jason Donovan. And it's had people like Margot Robbie in it, Chris Hemsworth, not in the 80s, a bit later on than that. And I think it was cancelled about a year ago. And then there was such uproar, such love for the show that they've brought it back again and it still exists.
Yeah. Are you a soap opera fan?
No.
In general?
Mm-mm.
No.
I just really liked it. And in fact, I don't watch Coronation Street or Emmerdale or Hollyoaks or I don't even know what else there is. Brookside, is that still going? Probably not.
No.
But every time I catch Neighbours on TV, I get sucked into whatever storyline it is and I'll end up series linking it again. And I'll keep watching it to the point where I've got a lot of work to do and then I get too far behind and I end up just deleting it because I need to free space up for whatever. But it's a show that I still really like. And if I think of any soap opera that I've ever loved, it's probably that one.
Okay.
And it's not too stressful. I found like EastEnders too dark and depressing.
Yeah. But it's always dark. That's the thing. There's never any levity in EastEnders, whereas Neighbours, even if you just had the fact that it's always sunny there, that was the thing. It's just like really nice and looks nice and had nice people. I mean, Home and Away was another one. I can remember in the 80s watching that and getting quite into that. But then it becomes like any soap opera. It's the same storylines, just like get rotated if you watch it long enough. But Neighbours was great. Mrs. Mangle and
amazing. Joe Mangle,
Bouncer.
Yeah.
What was the guy? What was the old guy's name? Because oh God, no,
I don't know.
Harold Bishop.
Harold Bishop. Amazing.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh my God, yeah, Madge.
Anne Robinson.
I haven't thought about Madge and Harold Bishop in like 30 years.
For me, it's a daily thing, which is why I'm happy to share this with the world now.
Was it Toadfish?
Toadfish, yes, he's just left apparently. I still follow Neighbours on Instagram.
Oh, right,
I think he's just done his final story, and then I think he's doing a sort of bit of a tour where he's going on stage and sharing stories and stuff.
Oh, really? I take it Harold Bishop isn't still in it.
I think he has dipped in and out. I think
no.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's on, what's that on then? Channel 5 or something, is it?
I don't know that, I think it's on something like Freeview or something. All I know is that I can watch it on Amazon Prime.
Right. Oh my God. I might have to
I'm tempted because they've got the beginning of it on there again. So I'm tempted to go back to the first episode and get right up to Scott and Charlene's wedding.
Wow. That's be like opening a time capsule.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay. I might have to look at that. Okay.
You should.
I should. My number 9, I'm going for Cheers.
Oh, we've missed each other again.
Yeah. Do you like that one?
Yeah.
Yay.
I still watch Frasier.
Do you? See, I've never got into Frasier. I love Cheers, but for some reason I never got into watching Frasier. And people have said to me that is so much better than Cheers.
I don't think it is. It's posher.
It's posher.
It's more fancy. I don't understand 98% of the stuff they're saying in that show.
Oh, right. And that's just come back as well, I think, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I think it's on the second season now. It's on Paramount Plus, and I am up to date with that.
Oh, yeah, because Nicholas Lyndhurst is in it. Rodney from
He is, yes.
I can't see him as anything but Rodney. See, and
You will.
Oh well, yeah. He talks with a bit more of a posher accent in this, doesn't he?
Fancier, more sophisticated.
Sophisticated indeed. Yeah, but Cheers is one of those. It literally is like just spending some time with old friends by a bar. Had some great storylines in it. Ted Danson was great, very cool. Woody Harrelson obviously took over from Coach. And again, for all you youngsters, go and see. I mean, you can watch some of these. They're all on streaming services. So I would recommend just dipping your toe in and having a little look and a little watch at some of these nuggets that we're going to sort of like show for you. It's definitely a way to have more things added to your list. Like I've got this ever-growing list. Like I've got to watch now 40 Years of Neighbours. That's another thing I've got to do.
I want to go back to the 1960s and just watch Coronation Street from the beginning. I think I'd appreciate the current storylines more. I
think you possibly could. And the thing is, what you should have asked Keanu Reeves is, when are they going to give you a way of being like sticking a chip in your head so you just download all this stuff and you haven't got to go through the hours and hours of it?
I stick chips in my head every single day, but mostly my mouth. More specifically.
Well, that's another way of doing it. Okay, then, Sarah, your number 8 then, please.
Number 8, I'm sure we've got the exact same thing for this. So this one's sort of cheating a bit, and this will happen twice, in that it's a show that debuted in 1978, but it ran until 1985.
Okay.
And it's a comedy called Different Strokes.
Oh, what you talking about, Willis?
Exactly. And for the uninitiated, it's about 2 orphans from Harlem who go to live with a wealthy businessman and his daughter. And they tackled really serious subjects, but Gary Coleman in particular was phenomenal. It's a very funny show. I've actually gone back this week and rewatched quite a bit of it. So good.
And that's one of those shows like Cheers that had a great theme tune, where the theme tune told you the story of the show, which now there aren't theme tunes. It's just like Lost was just like a little whoom. That Cheers and Different. I used to love Different Stroke. What was the name of the lead? The father, Mr. Drummond.
Mr. Drummond, yeah.
Mr. Drummond, that's right.
And
Kimberly, that's right. Yeah, because she passed away quite young, didn't she?
She did. Yeah, Dana played her.
Yeah, had a lot of troubles. But
Gary Coleman did as well.
Where did you see that? Where are they? Where's that?
I saw it on TV, but I've got it. I purchased it digitally as well, and I think I've also got it on DVD.
Really?
Yeah, an interesting fact. So the housekeeper, Mrs. Edna Garrett, also got a spin-off show called The Facts of Life.
Was that what that was?
Yeah. So she was in Different Strokes for 2 seasons, and then they made that.
I didn't realise that they were linked. Thank you, Sarah. I've learned something.
Some of the characters cross over.
Really? Oh my God. Look at that. See, I thought I was an expert on the 80s, but there's Sarah there. Always learning. That's what I think. But that's a great one. That should have been in my top 10. That really should have been in my top 10.
That's just why we're covering all bases here.
We are covering every single base. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
The first time I did this top 10, I had about 800 shows in it. And I had to whittle it down a bit.
I know that feeling. Okay, my number 8. I think this is a show that did start in the very late 70s, but went on to the 80s and went from ITV to BBC. And it's the Kenny Everett television show.
Great choice.
Thank you very much. Kenny Everett, one of my favourite comedians stroke DJs. He was hilarious. I preferred the ITV version because it was a lot more anarchic, if you like. It didn't have a audience. It just had the camera crew and the people in the studio laughing, which I found was a lot more honest than when he went to the BBC and then it was the canned laughter, and it just didn't have the same sort of edge to it. I watched one, actually, it was on one of the lower channels on the Sky Planner, and I watched it a couple of nights ago, and some of it doesn't travel well through time, which you find with the 80s. There are some things that, you know, are not particularly politically correct, but you take it for what it is. You take it for what it is at the time. That's how I do it anyway. But he was an audio genius, Kenny Everett. If you ever hear him when he was doing his radio show, it wasn't where you could have everything on a sound pad or anything. He did everything organically, recording it to tape, playing it at certain times. He was an absolute genius, and I love Kenny Everett.
That's a very good choice.
You were a fan of Kenny Everett? Would you know
Yeah, of course,
his
yeah.
work? Yeah. Cupid
Yeah.
Stunt was one of obviously his BBC characters. Sid Snot was another one that he used to do. But yeah, I loved him. Okay, then Sarah, your number 7, please.
Okay, so number 7, I wanted to have an animated entry into this top 10. I love animation.
Okay.
I used to watch pretty much everything that was on. And so I found this a bit difficult. So I created some rules for myself in order to pick what I think is the fairest thing to pick. Because there's things like DuckTales and Care Bears, Denver the Last Dinosaur, I think Captain Planet might be 90s, Scooby-Doo, Thundercats, She-Ra, Dungeons and Dragons, My Little Pony, Garfield, and The Real Ghostbusters, and a million other shows. But I was thinking which one was kind of the biggest thing when I was sort of towards the latter end of the 1980s, and which one is still very much talked about or made or whatever. So I've decided to go for the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Oh, okay.
Which is about 4 mutated turtles who learn ninja and eat pizza.
Of course they do. That old trope. Now, was that, obviously there was a comic book first of all, wasn't there? Did that come out before or after the movies? The
comic book came out first, then there was an animated show, then I think the first film came out in about 1990, and there was a sequel shortly after, Secrets of the Ooze, and then the third one, I think they traveled back in time, and then I don't know what happened, but it's been reimagined several times over the years. I think Nickelodeon has it now, and there were a couple of films about a decade ago, live action films. And then last year there was an excellent animated movie.
That's right,
and
yes.
I think just yesterday there was actually a new video game released. So it's doing well.
Right. And is there a reason why the TV show was called Hero Turtles and the movie was called Ninja Turtles?
Less violent.
Oh, that's basically what it was.
I think in America it was still called Ninja Turtles.
Right.
But I think because in England we've got a massive history of just attacking countries or something and putting flags in them. So they didn't want to set us off again. So they just
called them heroes instead.
That's too much of a risk.
Yeah. Mutant is okay, but hero and ninja, you got to be careful. Yeah. Okay, that's a great one. I must admit, for a second there, I thought you were going to say Super Ted, but you didn't say Super Ted.
That used to give me nightmares.
What,
I used to have
Ted?
I used to have a reoccurring nightmare about Texas Pete.
Really? Not the skeleton?
No.
Why? What about Banana Man? Did you like Banana Man?
Yep.
Yeah, no night terrors because of Banana Man?
I don't think so.
No?
The only thing I do wish is that there had been an episode. I had a really bad, had a really bad leg cramp one morning in the 1980s. I was on the sofa and my parents were just asleep and I was just in pain for a couple of hours. And it eventually went instantly. If you ever have leg cramp, just stand up and it goes. But another way of avoiding that, bananas.
No. I thought it was water.
Potassium.
Really?
Yep.
I will say, when I've had leg cramps like 2-3 in the morning, I'm in so much pain that I can't stand up. That's the trouble.
Yeah, but that's when you need to.
But what's your tip for being able to stand up?
Stand on the other leg and then put your weight on that one, and then just fall over.
Yeah. See, ladies and gentlemen, we are not just giving you entertainment, we are teaching you things tonight. So if tonight you end up, whenever you're listening to this, you end up with leg cramp, do what Sarah says, okay? Grab a banana for a start. Take a banana to bed with you.
Yep.
Did you eat the banana before you go to bed? Or as you have cramp?
Otherwise it's breakfast.
So say you have, okay, I just want to unpack this for a second.
Well, peel it really is what the lingo is.
Yeah, but you're led in bed, you're going, ooh, I've got cramp. What's the first thing do you do? Stand on your good leg, fall over, or grab the banana, peel it, then stand on your good leg?
It's difficult, isn't it? I'd probably tweet about it. Well, I wouldn't tweet it now. I'd probably put it on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
And then I'd stand up and then I'd have the banana afterwards.
Right, okay. I'm glad we sorted that out.
Yeah.
the country is going to just wonder what the hell they've been doing with cramp the last sort of 1,000 years.
Yeah, you don't want to keep a banana in the bed. You might grab the wrong thing depending on who you sleep with.
That is true.
And, yeah.
Or if you take a banana to bed, your significant other might think that there's something going on before you fall asleep.
Potassium deficiency.
That's a great excuse, yeah. I'll remember. I'll see if that works on my wife tonight. Honey, I'm bringing a banana to bed. Calcium deficiency. I'll see what she says. Next time you see me, if I've got a black eye, you know that she didn't buy it, okay?
Or your leg capsized when you sit up.
Yes. Yeah, I'll just pretend. I'll just crumple on the floor and just say I've got cramp. Okay, my number 7, I'm going for another thing that was a little bit edgy in the 80s, and I'm going for Spitting Image.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Very good song.
Very good song. Written and sung by one of our very good friends, Michael Fenton Stevens, who's been on our pod for a couple of times. Wonderful, wonderful man. Amazing stories. But Spitting Image, it was Ronald Reagan and Maggie Thatcher, and it was a puppet show, basically. But it was a satirical puppet show that didn't pull any punches. It took the piss out of everybody and became very iconic just for the voices, where people now, when they do impersonations of those people, they do the voices that were in Spitting Image, not the voices of the actual people. So if you want to do, I'm saying names from the 80s that people might not even know, but Neil Kinnock or Margaret Thatcher or Ronald Reagan, you would do the voice from Spitting Image rather than the actual person. And it was, the Chicken Song was one of its highlights, a massive number 1. So a fan of Spitting Image?
Yeah, it was in the 80s. I didn't like the new reimagining of it recently. I must say, a story about Spitting Image. I was once walking through a shopping centre, and it was well after he was Prime Minister, but for some reason John Major was there, and he had an entourage of whoever was with him going wherever he was going. I was shocked to discover he wasn't completely grey.
Was he buying peas?
I don't know.
No, because he apparently really liked his peas. I mean, in Spitting Image he did, whether he did in real life. If he's not grey in real life. Did you go up and say to him, why aren't you grey?
No. Well, I mean, to be fair, a lot of him still was, but it was less than what they suggested.
That's fair enough. He might be a little bit... I think a lot of the stuff that Spitting Image built up, I think those people had to deal with a lot of that stuff. You know, Maggie Thatcher in a man's suit and was very manly. I think they had to deal. They really did work out people's characters in that show, and it stuck with a lot of those people for real, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's my. A
lot of them had a puppeteer up them.
They probably do. Allegedly, and they even do today. So that's something that hasn't changed in politics, isn't it? Oh, get a little bit edgy with politics. Let's not go down that road. Okay, your number 6 then, please, Sarah.
Okay, so remember earlier on when you were kind of like, were you just watching cartoons in the 1980s? Did you stay up late enough to watch Murder, She Wrote or whatever? Well, I can tell you, and this is quite shocking, that I stayed up late enough in the 1980s to watch my 6th entry in this top 10, which is Prisoner Cell Block H.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. And for anybody that doesn't know, it's an Australian, I want to say drama, but it's sometimes like a horror film. It ran for 8 seasons, 692 episodes. And interestingly, it was filmed literally down the road from the Ramsay Street set of Neighbours. It was, I'm
trying to think. Wasn't there a woman in there that was like the old prisoner that like her face was just nothing but wrinkles? She was all just wrinkles.
It's hard to tell who was old because at the time I was about 5.
That's true.
So everyone was a billion years old to me. Yeah. And now when I watch the shows and TV and movies back and stuff, I find out I'm a decade older than them or something. So I don't know.
God, but that used to be on like really, really late, didn't it?
It was.
Didn't it used to be on like 10 o'clock?
No, I think it was later. I think it was on about midnight.
So what? How?
I used to watch it on a school night. I just thought it was really good.
So what were I mean, I'm assuming that your parents are led in bed with severe cramp at this point.
No, so my mum was really into the show, and I think probably what happened was one night I couldn't sleep for whatever reason,
right,
and watched it, and then like Neighbours got hooked.
So you and your mum at midnight on a school night would watch Prisoner Cell Block 8?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Oh my Lord. And no nightmares from that?
Quite a few.
Oh, I was going to say.
I can still genuinely remember like some of the deaths and things that happened. And it was good in a way that a lot of the stuff that I discovered from that show, I was being introduced to for obviously the first time, because it wasn't covered in the Flintstones or She-Ra or anything like that. But it was really good, and it had amazing actresses in it and brilliant storylines. And yeah, it went on for years. I just kept watching it. And then in, I think, 2013, they did a reboot of it called Wentworth Prison.
Oh my God.
And that ran for 8 seasons, 100 episodes. So good. I will give this slight warning, however. One of the seasons, I decided to watch all in one go, so 10 episodes in one day. I was so traumatized by the end of it.
I bet you were.
It was so bad.
I mean, 10 episodes of anything all in one day is going to affect you.
Yeah, don't do that.
No. That's as an
adult.
That's really surprising, I must admit. Prisoner Cell Block H. So you're obviously a fan of the Australian TV then?
Quite like them, yeah.
Yeah.
Really good.
Okay. And have you interviewed anybody from
Prisoner Cell Block H? No, I would love to.
Australian TV? Have you interviewed Kylie or Jason or
not yet?
Craig?
I did. I got Kylie Minogue's new album today, so I'm still very much. Yeah,
I noticed that on Facebook or on Instagram. I think it was
probably all of them.
All of them.
Post everything relentlessly, just hoping anyone will read it, and then press one of those little thumb things.
That's what it's there for. Okay, my number 6. Now, this goes on the lineage of Monty Python, this, and then I would say the young ones. So this is the not the 9 o'clock news. Now, I don't know if you've heard of this one. This is where Rowan Atkinson started, Pamela Stevenson, Griff Rhys-Jones, Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson, he was amazing on it, yeah.
Unfortunately, it's Mel Smith, not Mel Gibson. But it was another one of these satirical TV shows, a bit like Spit and Image, but from the early 80s.
Yeah.
Had some absolutely hilarious. Gerald the Gorilla was a sketch that was hilarious. I will put some of the best ones up on our show notes for the video playlist for our Patreon subscribers. So funny. Again, some of it doesn't particularly travel well through the decades. But I loved Not the 9 O'Clock News. It was one of my favourite shows. Had some great audio, like LPs and CDs and cassettes that you could buy as well to listen to. Any thoughts on Not the 9 O'Clock News, Sarah?
Yeah, so the 80s really were a sort of wealth of comedy talent, and shows like Not the 9 O'Clock News, and there was so many where you'd get these amazing people and then you'd love them in that, and then you'd continue watching them and loving them and everything else they were in as well. So yeah, that's another really great choice.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Very welcome.
Thank you. So that's my number 6. Now, we're halfway through, so it's time for this.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Pop quiz, hot shot. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give you 5 seconds or so of an 80s TV theme, and you tell me what the show is.
So excited.
Very, very simple. So
I hope that they say them.
Sorry?
I hope it starts like The Simpsons.
It's not unfortunately going to start like that. But who knows? Some of them are going to be easy. I mean, I think we could be on for our very first 10 out of 10 here.
I don't know.
I think so.
Worried.
Anyway, here's number 1.
I'm seeing people turn around in slow motion and smile at the camera, and it's not really helping me.
Oh, well, no.
I can see the entire thing. What's it from? When it's independent of anything, it could be anything, can it?
Well, it's in the 80s. Would you like to hear it again?
No.
Okay.
It could be. It's not like.
It's not going to give you any more clues,
it's not
I must
Airwolf,
admit.
it's dun, 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 dun. Is it like an action something?
It is, but
What is it?
well, no, that's the whole point of the quiz. Don't
We
say
could be
what
here
is
for
it.
10 decades.
Do you not know?
Dun, dun, dun. I know the theme, like if you put it on, I'll sing the entire thing, but having that independent from that has never happened in my life.
No?
I've never heard that and not seeing the thing. To put a finer point on that, there's someone I worked with once for 5 years that I saw outside the office when I was buying lunch and genuinely didn't recognise him because he wasn't in the office.
Really?
Make it make sense, yeah.
I mean, I will say that we have spoken about this show already.
Is it Magnum PI?
It is Magnum PI.
I wanted to say that, but I didn't think you would pick that because we'd done it.
Well, you never know. I might make it easy. I might make it not so easy.
Okay. Well, okay.
So there you go. So it may be ones
what
that I've spoken about.
Me.
Yeah, it may be some we might have already spoken about, but maybe not. So there you go. 1 out of 1. Here's number 2.
Many Fools and Horses. Next.
There you go. Number 3.
Cheers.
Oh, see. Now she's on fire.
Making my way in the world today.
Takes everything you got. Yep. Number 4.
Just a good old boy.
I want to say like Smoking the Bandit or something, but I think it's the wrong decade. Is it?
I mean, it's Smoking the Bandit was 80s, so you're on the right track.
Dukes of Hazzard, I don't know. One of those.
It was Dukes of Hazzard. Well done.
That kind of thing, yeah.
Well done. Here's number 5.
It's got a similar vibe to Baywatch, but it isn't that. What's that?
And again, you've already heard the full song because I played this during the introduction.
I was asleep then. I sometimes fall asleep with my eyes open. I've heard the full song.
You have heard the
That's
full
alarming,
song.
isn't
But
it?
obviously you were listening to the amazing facts that I was saying at the same time, so it might have been a distraction.
It must be EastEnders then.
It's not EastEnders.
I'm joking.
I can't do the wah 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 for a bad.
I don't know, what is it?
It's Miami Vice.
Yeah, I didn't watch that.
Did you not? Oh,
No.
I don't know.
And I didn't particularly care for the movie.
No, the movie wasn't good. The TV show, although it's not in my top 10, spoilers, it was amazing. Here's number 6. Oh, no, that's not number 6. This is number 6.
Well, the last one was Fraggle Rock, and that's Airwolf, I think.
There you go, look, you split. So that one and that one, that's correct. That was
It's so much easier when I've seen them.
And the one that I've already done is Fraggle Rock, so you got that one as well. Well done. Here's number 8.
18.
Is correct. Number 9.
Green Chill.
Yes.
I didn't used to like Green Chill, by the way.
Sorry?
I didn't like Green Chill.
No, see, that again is something that you look at it now and it feels so out of date. Whereas some of these shows can travel with this. That. Yeah. And the final one.
God. Oh. It's a British show.
It is.
What shows didn't I watch?
You need this one to get the highest amount we've ever had.
What's your name? Someone Dennis in it.
That's right.
That person, the Minder person, but it's not that, is it?
Well, there was a character in it called Dennis.
Yeah, that doesn't
Sorry,
matter.
there wasn't. I think you're thinking of Dennis Waterman, aren't you? Who was
Dennis Waterman. Is he in it?
No, he's not in it.
But that didn't happen.
No.
I recognise it though, but it's not something that I sort of mid-80s something.
Yeah.
Early evening. Vibe I'm getting. And I say that it's on you watch Wentworth at like 1 a.m.
Yeah, that is true. No, you're gonna get it on that. No, I don't think you're gonna.
I don't think I'm gonna get it. I'll be annoyed.
Wheat is aim pet.
Yeah. See, I wasn't sure if that was 90s. Jimmy Nail was it?
Jimmy Nail. Yeah.
No, yeah, I didn't like that either.
Tim Healy, who is Matt Healy's dad from the 1975, he was in it, and yeah, lots of other famous people that were in it. But yeah,
I didn't relate to it.
Did you not?
No, because I was about 5.
Well, I was going to say, how can you? But Prisoner Cell Block H you could relate to, obviously. But 8 out of 10. Oh, not that one. I was going to give you a round of applause, but that's not it. 8 out of 10.
Is that right?
That's amazing. That's joint top. We've had a couple of people, including the governess from The Chase, got 8 out of 10. So you're up there with the governess from The Chase.
And I must say that if you'd picked more things that I watched, I may have got even a 9 or a 10 or something.
That is true, but you did say you'd watched everything from the 80s over the last few months.
I did, yeah, but I have watched them briefly, but then I just stopped watching them.
It goes out of your mind.
Yeah, if I don't get it on DVD, then I'm not bringing it with me through my life.
That's true. That's true. You can only have so much in your brain, is what I'm saying. And I don't mean that as you, as a lady. So people don't start emailing me saying that ladies can only... I'm saying generally. I'm talking to everybody. Anyway, before we start getting emails. Sarah, your number 5, please.
Oh, exciting. Okay, so we have heard the theme tune of it earlier on. Can you guess? You've got 10 hours.
It's got to be Airwolf. Fraggle Rock. 18.
The 18.
Oh!
I'm guessing we've got a match.
Didn't make my top 10. Yeah,
really?
No.
You and Magnum PI, that's what's happened then.
But I think it was because it never seemed, not that any of these shows are realistic, but if a car flips over 100 times and the people crawl out of it, always one of those things that was like, well, that's not very realistic, is it?
But they filmed it.
Yeah, I know they did, but if a car normally flies over 5, 10, 6, 7, 8 times, there's going to be casualties.
These are normal people we're dealing with. These are highly trained stunt people.
I suppose so.
In stunt cars.
That is true. It's not real life.
That's why.
See, when you say that, that makes it sound more feasible. So now I love it. Now I love
That's how they film that.
Thank you. Yeah, but you're in the business. You know these things. You're talking to these high flyers. I don't know. I'm
crazy.
I'm just an everyday Joe.
I will say this.
Go on.
The A-Team was a definitive 80s show for me. And, you know, Mr. T is in it, B.A. Baracus, and they would have guest stars in it, and they would be overwhelmed and outnumbered, and they'd hide in a chicken coop for 3 minutes and come out with a helicopter that they'd crafted out of chickens. And it was an incredible show. And it also had a message of peace, because while they would fire at each other, they would intentionally miss. And then everyone would just be fine at the end of it.
My whole point, which was very 80s. Not much death.
There was a reason they didn't use real bullets. It was a safety on set thing.
Right. Okay.
That's why they weren't dying. They just didn't tell them to act like they'd been hit.
Yeah. And who was your favourite member of the A-Team? I mean, normally everybody says BA. Were you?
Murdoch.
Were you Mad Murdoch?
He always got BA on the plane.
And he ain't going on no plane.
But he does. Has a little seat.
Gets him every time.
Yeah.
I had a friend called Gary that we used to call Mad Murdoch. Still do, to this very day. And he's mid-50s, and we still call him Mad Murdoch. Yeah, it didn't quite make my top 10. It is an iconic 80s show. I think if anybody says 80s, as I think we'll find out with a lot of the, with a few of the people that gave us honourable mentions, said that very one. But yeah, it's in there. Well done. Good job. My number 5, I'm going on from Not an Iconic News. It's a Rowan Atkinson show, and it's Blackadder.
Yep.
Now, I could choose any of the... I'm going to say Blackadder as a general, because they were all in the 80s. But for me, series Blackadder 2, I think, is one of the greatest TV series.
2? Interesting.
Yeah. And number 4. 2 and 4.
For me, it's 3 and 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're all great. Number 1, the first series, maybe not so much. They were trying to find what they were going to do, and the writing was a little bit different, and I don't think Rowan Atkinson had a lot.
Good.
Yeah, but from series 2, it is top class comedy. Every single line is beautifully crafted, and everything in each episode is beautifully crafted, beautifully performed. Again, with Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie was in it a lot, especially series 3.
Yeah, he was amazing in season 3.
Yeah, I mean Baldrick and Percy, and just it's Bob. And all of those kind of extra characters. Fantastic. Rick Mayall again as Lord Flashheart. Woof, indeed. I mean, God, it was almost like Rick Mayall was back then, the way that you did that. That was what an amazing performance.
It was incredible.
Well done. Oh,
I own a dog, so that's, I don't own a dog. That doesn't sound nice. A dog is part of our family and lives here.
Right. What? And you were doing an impersonation of the dog.
The dog woofing, yeah.
Perfect. Okay then, Sarah, give us your number 4.
Oh, number 4, exciting. Okay, so we may have heard this one during this show as well. Only Fools and Horses.
That's my number 4.
We're getting in sync. I think everything's going to be the same from here on out.
I would be very surprised if that's the case, but who knows?
Yeah, looking at this list, I don't, yeah.
Who knows? Okay, so why Only Fools and Horses?
Oh, you must know. You put it there too. Don't blame me.
But excuse me, I was just
like, if you don't know why.
But you're the guest, so I'm asking you first, and then I'm going to confirm your thoughts.
Fine. Okay, so it debuted in 1981. There were, I think, 7 series or seasons of it, and it's just really good. You can watch an episode of it, and it's still funny, and I can think of so many scenes from it. And a lot of them have been replaced. So the Batman and Robin scene and him falling through the bar, I've seen too much. Yeah. But just the other episodes, it's just good. And there's really moving moments as well, and just ridiculous comedy as well. And yeah.
I think the early sort of half-hour episodes with Grandad were some of the, again, like Blackadder, were some of the most greatest crafted half-hour of comedy.
Yeah.
From John Sullivan that you could get. I mean, I can't remember the name of the episode, but the one when Del Boy and Boise are playing cards, and he's got 4 kings, and he get 4. I had 2 pair, and it was 2 pairs of aces. It's perfectly perfect. And I can remember watching that for the first time and laughing so much that my neck hurt, and it was just. Thursday nights were amazing on TV when I was in the 80s. You had Only Fools and Horses, EastEnders. Blackadder, I think, was on a Thursday night. It was the top of the pops.
10 o'clock news.
10 o'clock news, and then I'd try and stay up and watch Prisoner Cell Block H, but I'd be too tired. I thought that nobody would be foolish enough to stay up at this late to watch.
I knew I'd need it one day for a top 10 thing. So
well, you were there when you were 6 years old,
watching 692 episodes of the most violent show I'd seen.
Was it violent though?
Mm.
See, I always thought Prisoner Cell Block H was one of those shows that was like Crossroads, where the sets would wobble and it was a very sort of low budget and...
Yeah, but what's scarier than being not only in a prison, but also seemingly in an earthquake?
Well, that is true. Because they're supposed to be really strong walls.
Yeah. It's alarming.
You've got the answer for everything. I just cannot... I can't catch you out.
Yeah. Except for with those 2 songs earlier.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I'm going to hate watch it later on. I'm going to hate watch Miami Vice later. I'm just going to angrily listen to that music.
You should do. And another thing, when I'm going to message you, oh, by the way, you okay? Is everything all right? Yeah. It's
going to be a full Zoom, I hope.
Yeah. So I'm gonna message you later on just with the theme of Miami Vice. Is that okay?
I won't know what it is.
Rub it in. Well, that is true. You're going, what is this? That's true. Okay,
I've already heard it several times. I had no idea what it was.
What was the one that you thought it was?
You thought? I kind of got the vibe of it. I can't remember.
No, I can't remember now. Right, so we've got 2 the same so far. So let's see what your number 3 is.
So my number 3, and you've spoiled it slightly, is Only Fools and Horses.
That was your number 4.
Yeah, you said I had 2 the same.
No, we've had 2 the same in regards to you.
That's me.
What is your number 3?
Bit of fun though, wasn't it?
It was a bit of fun, wasn't it?
Bit of fun. Playing around with it.
I know.
I won't be back on here when I was terrible. Okay, so
we're going to do top 10 Only Fools and Horses moments. That's the next one we're going to do.
All right, then.
Yeah.
So probably the Damien scene for me is number 1, because I also in the 1980s watched Damien Omen 2, which I probably again shouldn't have.
Yeah, I watched it in that decade, but obviously I was a little bit older than you, and that freaked me the F word up.
You think that's bad? You watch the 3rd Omen, then you see him reappear in Jurassic Park.
That is true.
I thought they stopped him.
That is true.
Now he's cloning dinosaurs.
He became a scientist. How did he become a scientist? Have he got stabbed in the back?
It's terrible.
Well, he's the devil. So
yeah. Well, some people get stabbed in the back and turned into a Caesar salad.
Really?
Yeah, Caesar.
You're working at a higher level than me, Sarah. That's the trouble. You know, this is comedy that I'm not quite used to. I'm hanging on your coattails here, holding on a banana and walking around with a cramp in my leg. But well done.
You need a banana.
Oh my God, I need a banana.
Or a good stand.
Yeah. Okay.
So number 3.
Number 3.
It's serious. I mean, it'll work. I promise you.
Okay.
Number 3 debuted in 1988.
Ooh.
It's the British version of Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Okay.
Hosted by Clive Anderson, had Colin Mockery in it, and Greg Proops, Ryan Stiles, loads of amazing people. Brad Sherwood, Mike McShane, Sandy Togsvig was in there, Paul Merton, and it proved so popular that there was a US version, which is still going on today. It's really funny.
Is it really? I didn't realise that.
I used to, I think it was Friday nights, I used to stay up and watch that and some other shows that I love too. And yeah, I really love it.
My God, I haven't watched that for ages. I've seen
really good
clips on TikTok and that I've watched. I didn't realise it was still on though.
I still watch it. So It has to be in my top 10 because I've loved it ever since then. Colin Mockery's been on my show. Brad Sherwood, Shep Heston's been on my show as well.
Wow. I'm friends with Mike McShane on Facebook.
So am I.
Are you? And I was watching Robin Hood a few months ago and I messaged him and I said, I just wanted to say thank you for being Friar Tuck in the Robin Hood because that's mine and my wife's favourite movie together. And he very kindly messaged back and said, oh, thank you very much. That's very sweet. So yeah, lovely, lovely bloke.
That's amazing. I almost interviewed him too, but he left something of his in a bank that he was visiting. So he wasn't available that morning when I interviewed the others.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, amazing.
Yeah, that's very good. I didn't even think about that one. I used to watch that on a Friday night. Channel 4, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great one. Well, my number 3 was The Young Ones, which we've already said were the same. You had that at your number 10.
It felt more like a 10 to me, that.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Only 12 episodes.
Only 12 episodes. But sometimes that's the best way of being. Because they don't, it's not like Mrs. Brown's Boys where it's like slogged to death.
I like it. There's not many shows with Irish people in.
Oh, that's true.
And I like that they break the fourth wall. Yeah, not many episodes of that.
No. Okay, what's your number 2?
I'm answering that. I don't know, sweet corn.
What's in? Oh dear, what's in your? Oh God, how do I word this? I'm never going to be able to word this the same way now. What is your second favourite 80s TV show?
That's a disgusting question. Okay, so coming in at number 2 is the sci-fi comedy Red Dwarf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I've got a feeling my top 3 is going to be wildly different to yours. I loved it when it first came out. And so when I first saw it, my neighbour lent me a video and I watched these few episodes like 100 times. There's a really good episode called Marooned, which I highly recommend. And for anyone that hasn't seen it, it's about the last surviving human in space who is quarantined after smuggling his cat on board and then goes into stasis for 3 million years, wakes up, everybody's dead. And then the ship's computer creates a hologram for him of a person that he didn't get along with. In the meantime, his cat there's been countless generations and they've turned into like cat people and the character is geniusly called Cat. Then they happen upon an android called Crichton, and then they go around having these stupid adventures every week, which would play around with real world physics and science and stuff as they knew it at the time, and just have these really funny episodes. I love it.
I think I've watched maybe 4 or 5 episodes of Red Dwarf, and it's one of those things that I know that I would love if I watched it, and I've just never got around to watching it, and it's so stupid to do that because so many people have said to me how great it is. Yeah. Because they brought that back not long ago, didn't they?
They've not only brought it back, they kind of, so I think it's had 12 seasons and a film.
Oh, right.
Mm.
Oh, I didn't realise that. That was a TV film. It wasn't a film that was at the movies, was it?
No. That depends how big your television is.
I've got quite a big TV.
Mm. But yeah, it's really good. You should definitely watch it. I would say seasons 3 to 6 are the best.
Right.
But the rest is definitely worth watching.
Okay. I'll add that to the ever-growing list. Thank you very much. My number 2, I'm going for a show that was mid-80s and it had one of the biggest stars of the 80s when it came to movies and 90s. And
Andre the Giant.
It's not, unfortunately, Andre the Giant. But
7'4".
I'm going for the TV show Moonlighting.
Oh, wow. Bruce Willis.
With Bruce Willis, Sybil Shepherd. Bruce Willis was David Addison, and I was at the age where I wanted to be David Addison. I wanted to be that wisecracking, spiky-haired guy that was just like, he was just so cool. And Bruce Willis at that point was so cool. And then obviously he went on to Die Hard and became a massive movie star. But the chemistry between him and Sybil Shepherd and as soon as they slept with each other in the show, then the chemistry went and the show wasn't as good. And then it ended up he became a massive star, so wasn't in it every week, and it slid down. But for those 2 or 3 seasons when they were together, it was just a procedural detective. They were a detective agency, so it wasn't pulling up any trees, but the chemistry between the two of them was what made the show so fun. And another great theme tune as well by Al Jarreau, if anybody remembers that, which I'll put on the show notes for other people.
It's a good choice. See, we've got a wealth of shows here, haven't we?
We have. We've only got 2 the same, so we've nearly got 20. I don't think our number 1s are going to be the same.
Because I just had Red Dwarf and Who Signs It Anyway.
Yeah, and the fact that you've already said that you have never watched my number 1, so I can guarantee that won't be your number 1. But if you would like to just give us a countdown of your number 10 to your number 2, I'll do the
10,
same.
9, 8, 7, 6.
But so say number 10 and then say what it was, just as a recap for the listeners.
Oh, we're starting again. Okay,
Yeah.
so from the beginning. Hi, I'm Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. How are you? How are you feeling?
Really good, actually, with my hands mostly.
Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Cramp. Blah,
Sweet
blah, blah,
corn.
blah, blah, sweet corn. Bananas. Prisoner Cell Block H. And here we are. So if you can just do a countdown from 10 to 2, I'll do the same, and then we'll reveal what our number 1 choices are.
Okay, so in at number 10, The Young Ones. 9 was Neighbours. Everybody Needs Good Ones. At 8 was Different Strokes. Really good show if you haven't seen it. 7, Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, the animated show, but I could have had a million different animated shows, so I loved all of them. 6 is Prisoner Cell Block H, which I'm probably only just old enough to watch now. 5 was the A-Team. 4, Only Fools and Horses. 3, Whose Line Is It Anyway? 2, Red Dwarf. And my number 1 is, I'm joking.
Oh, very good. I like it.
Caught it.
Very good.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine? I mean, it was just, the whole show would have been ruined. Ruined. But don't worry. Number 10, Magnum P.I. This is mine. Number 9, Cheers. 8, Kenny Everett television show. 7, Spit and Image. 6, Not 9 O'Clock News. 5, Blackadder. 4, Only Fools and Horses. 3, The Young Ones. And 2, Moonlighting. So, Sarah, what is your number 1 80s TV show?
Okay, so at 10 I had The Young Ones. 9 I had...
Yes, you did.
It's my go again.
You can do it again?
I know. I'm going to say different ones this time.
Oh, that would really mess everything up. Go on,
my
then.
number 1 show of the 1980s. And I must say that I almost had a completely different show, which I'll get to in a minute.
Okay.
My number 1 show, although this would have been in my top 10. My number 1 show of the 1980s is the American sitcom that launched in 1988, Roseanne.
Okay.
That was on just before Who Signs It Anyway. Really good, solid Friday night, Channel 4.
Yeah. Okay. Why would that be your number 1?
I loved it. So it was a bit more edgy than the shows that I was watching at the time. I loved the family dynamic between Roseanne and Dan and Darlene and Becky and DJ. And that Auntie Jackie was phenomenal, and there's so many amazing episodes. And I genuinely, it was the highlight of my week on TV. Like, I'd finish school and I'd be like, Roseanne's on tonight. Can't wait to watch it. I was slightly obsessed with America as well. So I just liked seeing American products and stuff, and just how they celebrated Halloween, and they dealt with more serious topics as well, like Different Strokes did. And I liked that. They weren't afraid to have a serious episode that still have some humor in it, but it was just tackling more difficult things. And yeah, it's another show that I would happily sit down and watch now. And they revived it a few years ago, and then it turned into a spin-off of itself, minus Roseanne, called The Conners, which has been on, I think, for 6 seasons. I love that show. And yeah, so for me, a show that I not only loved in the 1980s and had amazing memories of it, but that I continued watching and I still love now. And I'm excited that there's episodes I still haven't seen of The Conners. Yeah, it's my number one.
It's a great choice. The one thing I always thought about it is that it wasn't like a normal, any kind of American show. Everyone's always, even if it's a family, they've got massive houses and they've got amazing like lives. Whereas Roseanne was, they're working class and they have like this little house and there's a big family, and it was everything that went good and bad with being in a big family. Yeah, it's a great choice. Yeah, I used to love Roseanne.
It was relatable. It was very funny and surprising, and they tackled stuff on TV that wasn't really talked about too much at the time. And as I say, the entire cast were just so good. And yeah, I could quite happily rewatch it. And I interviewed Michael Fishman, who played DJ, not too long ago, and did rewatch it and loved it just as much.
Right. And so you would recommend The Conners then? To watch it,
I love it. Yeah, it's on Sky Comedy.
Okay. All right. I might give it a go. And I take it all the original people are back?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
All of them.
Okay. Apart from Roseanne, because she sort of got kicked off her own show, didn't she?
Sort of did, yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So just to clarify that, it's Roseanne the show, not the person.
Yes. Yeah. My number one, you have mentioned that you haven't watched it and you didn't really know anything about it because it was one of my quiz questions, and it's Auf Wiedersehen, Pet. That's my number one. I absolutely love this show. There were 2 seasons originally. Made in that very British 80s way that it's like it's on videotape, so it's the production isn't fantastic. And then they came back again for I think 2 more seasons, or it might have been 3 on the BBC, and it was a lot more, it looked a lot more filmic and a lot more cinematic, if you like, and it just didn't have the same heart and the same humour. Jimmy Nail, who played Oz, had become very serious and didn't have the same. I mean, he was just a lout in the first 2 seasons. He was a drunken lout that just loved swearing, and he became more of this sort of like quiet character. And it just wasn't the same. But the first 2 seasons are a classic 80s comedy, brilliantly written, brilliantly performed, and I absolutely loved it. Yeah, you need to watch it. I don't know where you can watch it.
Do you know why this is stupid? But it makes sense. One of the reasons I didn't watch it is because I thought it was in German.
I mean, some of it was, to be fair.
And to the same extent, for a lot of the 1980s, I didn't drink or try Dr. Pepper because I just thought it had pepper in it. I really did think it was. I was like, why do people drink this? But then I thought people put pepper on their dinner, so I just didn't question it more than that. And so I never tried
perfect sense.
Yeah, I never tried to watch that program because I didn't speak German at the time, and it was an aspiration, as it is for many. But yeah, I was too busy watching American things.
I would recommend it. There is a little bit of German in it because they're in Germany, but the comedy and the humour, and it's got heart as well. It's a great show.
See, I didn't know it was a comedy.
Yeah, it is, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. Tim Healy, like I said. Tim Spall is in it as well as Barry, a Brummie. It's great. I don't know where you'd see it. I don't know what channel it's on or whether it's streaming or anything, but it'll be there. Yeah. We've got a couple of honourable mentions, mainly from a lot of our American listeners. So Jennifer I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm terribly sorry, but if it's Lough, how would you pronounce that? Luff? That's like Brian Clough.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so I'm going to go Jennifer Luff Fanuff. What a name. She says, oof, hard to pick just one, but probably Hill Street Blues.
Yeah.
Corrine Pasta says, oh my God, there's so many. A few are Punky Brewster, Family Ties and Golden Girls.
Great.
Callie Kastner says Golden Girls, OBS. Dale Richard says Young Ones. Stu Grant says got to have A-Team and Knight Rider as staples. Outside of that, I'll pick Married with Children, Quantum Leap, Mork and Mindy. I forgot Mork and Mindy. DuckTales, Saved by the Bell, The Fall Guy, Fraggle Rock, The Cosby Show. I know there's a whole Bill Cosby thing, but the show was great. Thundercats and Hill Street Blues. Darren Brown said Thundercats, Airwolf, A-Team, Knight Rider, Chips, He-Man, to name a few. The 80s was the best for television, in my opinion. Dawn Sardella Ayres said Cheers. Maria Pereira said Golden Girls, hands down. Also Designing Women, which doesn't get nearly the love it deserves. I've never heard of Designing Women. I don't know. Do you know what that one is, Sarah?
I think there's a film called Weird Science where they designed a woman. I imagine it's similar.
Oh, yeah. I remember watching Weird Science.
Completely different thing.
Yeah, I remember watching Weird Science. Dan Harper said Magnum PI, Three's Company. Although he says that might be late 70s. Simon and Simon, The A-Team, Golden Girls, Hill Street Blues, MASH, Land of the Lost, and of course Designing Women. It was a great time to grow up and watch TV. Tessa Charles said I loved Sent Elsewhere. And Christopher C. Rosales said Alf. Nothing says 80s TV like Alf. And Barbara Guerra Mascal says Tuesdays used to be the best night of the week. A-Team, Riptide, and Remington Steele.
Oh, wow.
Remington Steele, there you go. That was Pierce Brosnan, wasn't it? Pre-Bond.
Was indeed.
There you go. So there you go, Sarah. We've done it.
We have. So of those, I almost had Alf. I very, very almost had Golden Girls. I wrote down a list of, so instantly my first reaction to what my number one would be, because it made the most sense to me, and I could have still had it technically, but it didn't feel right, is The Simpsons, which debuted on the 17th of December, 1989. I was thinking
the same thing. I was thinking the same thing, that it's in theory an 80s show, but yeah, it's like the very end of the 80s. It would have been my number one. I completely agree. And if we'd have done that, you'd have got the Lisa's challenge correct.
And if we did it by when they started animating it was probably early 80s. Takes a while to make those, doesn't it? Other ones I considered, The Incredible Hulk.
Oh, yes.
Classic, Walking into the Distance. But I only wanted to pick one show where a person or persons went to a new town and helped people every week, which was, of course, Prisoner Cell Block H.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Or maybe the A-Team. I also considered Nightmare.
Yeah.
Where the kids' TV show, they put a helmet on and they're guided by other people to traverse a dungeon and get bread from people and stuff. Blind Date.
Oh my God.
That's an 80s show, yeah.
With Scylla.
Yep. Cheers, Golden Girls, Blackadder, Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
And Heartbeat. I love Art. And Tony Hart hosted it. It was the afternoon BBC show. And it had Aardman Animations Morph on there as well. Loved it.
I thought you were talking about the Yorkshire cop thing with Nick Berry.
I very much was not.
No. But I would be with you with Heartbeat with it's not Jonathan Hart, was it? That was Heart to Heart.
Yeah.
What was his name? Tony Hart.
Tony Hart.
Yes. Oh. Well, Sarah, apart from saying goodbye, first of all, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, actually, thank you, yeah.
You okay? Good. That's good.
Give me a lot to think about.
That's good. Good, I'm glad. Although I was hoping that at the end of the episode that you'd have less to think about because you got all this off your chest now.
Now I've got an annoyance about Miami Vice.
Well...
Would have come first in it.
Don't worry. Don Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I forgot the other guy's name, but they're...
Exactly.
Crockett and Tubbs, that's what they were called. I remember that. Jan Hammer did the theme. What have you got coming up on your channel?
I bet, actually. I've actually filmed the next 40 episodes.
40?
Mm.
Did you just say 40, as in 40?
I did, yes.
You're chucking them out like prisoner cell block 8. What the hell's going on?
Yeah. I really like doing it.
I bet you do. And can you tell me, or are you going to be very Hollywood about it and say, no, you just need to look at my channel? Can you sort of like...
There will be Lou Diamond Phillips.
Oh, that's it.
Oh,
40 episodes with Lou Diamond Phillips.
40 episodes with Lou Diamond Phillips. I'm scrolling. Okay. So the next probable episode that I release will be with Curtis Small, who was a star and stuntman in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, I did see some pictures. Were you on the set of Deadpool and Wolverine?
I sort of was a bit, yeah. I am.
How the blooming heck did you do that? Because I saw a picture of you with Ryan Reynolds and with Hugh Jackman.
Yes, I'm sort of friends with Ryan Reynolds, which sounds ridiculous when I say it, but he very kindly invited me to visit the set in January this year. And I was sworn to secrecy. Amazingly, I didn't have to sign anything. But yeah, I was invited to watch them film for a day. And later on that day, I also met Hugh Jackman, which was ridiculous. And yeah, so that happened. And then I wasn't allowed to mention it or post photos or anything until the film came out, because the day I was there were some scenes that they weren't highlighting in their marketing.
Right.
So they didn't just want anything to get out or whatever, which is fine.
So what bits did you see? What bits did you see? Because I love that film. It is my second favourite superhero movie and my movie of this year. I absolutely love that movie.
Right. So, at the beginning of the film where Deadpool is recruiting a Wolverine and he visits several of them.
Yeah.
Different multiversal versions.
Yeah.
The one where I think he's called Old Man Logan. So he sat at a porch at this shack and Deadpool walks up to him and then he gets shot with a shotgun.
Yeah.
So that scene. And then there's a scene earlier on where he's in the woods and gets hit by the Incredible Hulk's hand and he slams into a tree.
Yeah.
So I watched him film that stunt.
Wow. Well, next time you see your mate Ryan, please pass on my regards.
Okay.
You're not going to, are you?
I will. I'll pass them on.
I hope you do. I absolutely love that movie. Oh my God, well done. Well done. And how have you become friends with Ryan Reynolds? Why are you and him just the usual showbiz way? Hey?
We just sort of are. And yeah, no, he's amazing. I love him and, try and support all of his stuff. And yeah, he's the best. And Deadpool and Wolverine's amazing, and I've seen it quite a few times already. And yeah, it was of all the films I could have gone to see be filmed, it was very exciting. There were loads of people there. There was a big, I think they call it craft services, where they have different snacks and things. I went for a pizza, and they make these oven cooked pizza things that take 10 minutes, really good. But yeah, it was a really exciting experience and one I had to just not mention for several months.
Wow. Anybody that knows me also know that I love things like The Greatest Showman, so that I can now say that I've spoken to somebody that has met Hugh Jackman. So you're like my new best friend. So that's wonderful.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I love The Greatest Showman. I listen to the soundtrack all the time. And I saw Hugh Jackman... I didn't do my birthday's a couple of days before Christmas, and I mostly don't do anything for it because it's, everything's booked out or it's just a hassle. But a couple of years ago, I decided to treat myself, went to New York and spent a week watching shows. And one of them called The Music Man I saw on Christmas Day, and it was starring Hugh Jackman. So I got to tell him that I'd watched that on Christmas Day, which was fun.
That's great. That's great. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Just write me a letter.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And just put Sarah O'Connell
just
on it?
Put Sarah on, it's fine.
It'll get
Sarah. Yeah, I'm the only one that tells people to do that, so they'll go straight to me. So if you want to watch my YouTube show, which I've seen a few episodes, it seems quite good so far. Go to youtube.com/Sarah O'Connell Show. It's really good. Or if you can't be bothered to do that, just type in SarahO'ConnellShow.com and the magic of the internet will magically forward you to the other thing I just said. I'm also at Sarah O'Connell Show on Instagram and Threads, which I really like, much more than Twitter, and also Facebook. And I'm probably just about still on Twitter as well, at Sarah O_Connell.
Okay, but we will put all the links in the show notes, so you don't need to put anything. You can just click on them and it will send you straight to Sarah's, all of her stuff. And you got 40 episodes to look forward to. Do they come out weekly or monthly or daily?
When I can be bothered. Yes.
So just whenever.
If I'm going anywhere and I'm not going to be online for a couple of weeks, I'll just release 5 episodes in a week or something. And then sometimes I don't do it for a couple of weeks, so I'm preparing for another interview. There's, as I say, over 200 episodes on there. And if you only like comedians, then there's a comedians playlist, and there's a film and television playlist, and there's animation and music. I've had Sophie Ellis Bextor on there, and I've had authors, I've had wrestlers, and lots of different people, lots of different kinds of conversations, but they'll feel like you're watching the same show, every one of them, because they've got me in them. But yeah, so subscribe, enjoy it, turn on notifications, turn on the loud sound, put the phone next to your head so you never miss it. Eat and bananas.
Don't forget to have a banana and stand on the good foot.
Not too many though, they're slightly radioactive.
Yeah, I think you can die if you eat too many, can't you?
No, it's the same with most things.
But in one go, is it 6? 6 is the...
No, I think they've... I want to say like any 100 or 1,000 of them. They've got like a small amount of radiation in them.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you're really worried about how many bananas you eat, just Google it. They'll tell you.
Google bananas, yeah. I would recommend just eating one.
I think so.
One banana.
But keep one by your bed, is what I'm saying. Keep one in your bedside table, just in case you get that cramp.
Not inside the bedside table. It's going to take too long to get it. I'd suggest getting one of those things with like a hook where you could just put a bunch of them on.
Yeah.
Or just tape one to your arm.
Can you not get some merch where you could have like a Sarah O'Connell Show banana hanger for your bed?
You can get banana holders.
Get one of them.
They're plastic things, so if you put them in a bag or something, it stops them from being squished.
Slap your logo on it and have it as a bedside table.
I don't know.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Oh my God! It's like I'm giving you money here, Sarah.
Thank you.
That's okay.
I've spent it.
It's my. I bet you have.
Spent it already. I don't know how. It just comes out of my bank. I don't know what it is.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I'm sorry that I asked about your number 2, but
it's fine.
But don't worry.
I don't mind you asking about that at all.
That'll be the clip that'll be the promo for the episode. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, I want people to watch Red Dwarf. It's a really good show.
Wonderful.
Is that what you meant?
That was exactly what I meant. 100% was exactly what I meant. But Sarah, thank you very much for spending some time with us.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me on your lovely show to talk about the top 10 of anything, but not just anything, the 1980s. And we've established there's more than 10 good shows, which is a good thing.
More than 10. And hopefully, please come back to do top 10 Only Fools and Horses moments.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
We'll do top 10 everything.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Once again, Sarah, thank you very much, everybody, for watching and listening. Now let's go start the countdown.
Let's do it.